So I've been having problems recently. I went to the emergency room. They did an EKG on me.
So the strongest part of your heart is called the left ventricle. When that pumps,
But I was worried that it was that it's killing me.
sugar is not your friend.
And I'm concerned that it might be.
Maybe there's some lingering health issue that they've had on the back of their mind for a while.
Because that's an indicator of a stroke or like a heart attack.
Unprocessed red meat is good for you.
And I'm probably gonna have to schedule an appointment with my doctor about this to make sure that I'm okay.
This video is going to be quite a bit different from my normal gaming content because it's something that I think is really important. I'm glad Asmongold talked about this stuff because as gamers, we often neglect our health. A lot of people saw Asmongold's video and probably have some questions about some of the things discussed in there. I'm a licensed physician and I'm happy to talk about this stuff. Just don't know how many people are really going to be interested in it. Either way, I hope it helps someone. With that said, let's get to it.
So I've been having problems recently, like I remember the day that I ended my stream early. So I went to the emergency room that day, and because I felt like uncomfortable, like a discomfort in my chest.
If you feel chest pain, don't feel bad about going to the ER.
And so they did an EKG on me, and like they did all this stuff, and they said that I was okay, but my blood pressure was very high, and so it was like because I've actually been like I've had very bad stress problems a lot.
Bro, it's so good that he's saying this stuff because however many people watch this video are now thinking about their health. If they weren't already, I mean, maybe there's some lingering health issue that they've had on the back of their mind for a while. I know the average Asmongold viewer is aging. We as MMO players and gamers generally are an aging demographic right now. And we have our own unique set of health problems. We're sitting inside all the time, staring at a screen. Often, diet, exercise, and sleep are lacking. I'll expand on those in a minute.
Like the point and like my policy is that what do I do when I'm scared? What do I do when I'm anxious? What do I do in anything? I'm upset, I'm sad. It's very simple. I fucking ignore it and I keep going, no matter what. But I was worried that it was that it's killing me. And I'm concerned that it might be.
Good for him recognizing that the stress in his life is causing physical harm. I once treated a young mother who had so many heart-wrenching stresses in her life that it actually caused her heart some pretty serious issues. She ended up having what's called Takotsubo syndrome. I can talk about that in another video. But suffice it to say, the stress we experience in our daily lives can have a physiologic response on our bodies.
And so I've had to deal with this, and like my blood pressure was in like the 170s. It was really, really bad because of how stressed out I've been. And
we'll go in depth on blood pressure here in a few minutes.
So I just had a nosebleed.
Nosebleeds are awfully simple or simply awful.
And so I thought to myself, oh my God, because that's an indicator of a stroke or like a heart attack. And so that's why I went downstairs to take my blood pressure in to make sure that I was okay. And I checked my nose and I found I was just picking at my nose the wrong way.
Awfully simple.
And I've been exercising every day now, and I've changed what I was eating too already. And I'm probably going to have to schedule an appointment with my doctor about this to make sure that I'm okay. Because it was really weird that I had like that feeling. That's heart attack level. Yeah, it is. But I just checked it. It's not anywhere near that. It's like 135, which is like, that's not great, but it's not also, like worrisome, right? 135 is still high.
Blood pressure in and of itself doesn't really mean a lot, especially in otherwise healthy young people. 170 is the systolic blood pressure he's talking about. So the strongest part of your heart is called the left ventricle. When that pumps, that blood goes into the aorta and then goes into the rest of the body from there. That's how we measure the pressure in our blood. So that's the blood pressure that he was talking about. The thing is, when you're stressed or when you're exercising, this fluctuates. I mean, a healthy person can have over 200 when exercising. The best way to test your blood pressure is when you're at home by yourself chilling. If it's consistently elevated, then it's worth talking to your doctor about. If I were to take a 34-year-old's blood pressure and see that it was elevated, I would start my treatment focused on lifestyle. Hey, what stressors do you have? What anxiety is going on? You always want to start with lifestyle adjustments first. I'm not a fan of prescribing medications for things that can be solved with lifestyle. Okay, let's keep going.
Panic attack. Yeah, cardio will help for this. Yeah, and that's exactly what I've been doing. And so that's the reason actually why I've been doing shorter streams.
We'll talk about exercise in a sec.
and it's a lack of exercise. And so I'm going to exercise and stress out and try to be stressed out less. Like, because it was weird that stress is an insidious killer. I know. Could be hypertension. It is, yeah. And so
hypertension is just a word for high blood pressure.
I ordered protein bars, and we're drinking water now in between soda.
So I and science have a hot take on this. What's worse, the steak he eats or the soda he drinks?
Open a Gatorade. I actually did get Gatorade. I got Gatorade as well. I'm going to change my diet and eat a little bit differently.
It is 100% the sodas. The American College of Cardiology came out with some new but fairly obvious guidelines, which reverses nutritional science from the past 70 years. Unprocessed red meat is good for you. Go figure, something that humans have been eating for as long as we've existed as a species won't kill you. Sugar, on the other hand, has only been in our diets as a species for maybe 150 years, and it's never been at the level that we have it now. Sugar is not your friend. But isn't it just calories in, calories out? No. Even if you don't have diabetes, sugar is harming your body. First of all, there's a hormone called ghrelin, which controls your hunger. The more sugar you intake, the more ghrelin you have, so it's harder to control how much you eat. If you stop eating sugar, you have better control over your diet. Sugar is also linked to atherosclerosis, which is when your arteries become calcified. When you cut sugar out from your diet, it decreases all-cause mortality, and it especially decreases your cancer risk. At my med school, they would have optional lectures that we could go to during lunch, or you could just chill. I would go to the lectures, especially the ones on longevity and nutrition, because the school that I went to, it was like a world-renowned research center for that stuff. In fact, a lot of my lecturers have been on the Joe Rogan podcast and other scientific podcasts talking about the research. It's interesting now, consensus medicine has finally caught up, and this is like a decade later.
And, I went for a walk yesterday. I walked like maybe a mile or something like that. And like, I don't know, I'd say it's like 10, 15 minutes. So like a pretty fast walk. And at the end of it, I felt totally like fine and good. And so, yeah, I'll just keep doing that and just do another walk.
That's good, especially that he did it outside. As gamers, we don't get a lot of time outside. So combining exercise and being outside is a good thing. Walking is opening the door to exercise. But for someone in their 30s, 40s, it shouldn't be the peak of your exercise. You have to lift weights. Male, female, doesn't matter. You have to lift weights because when you get old, and I'm talking like 70s, 80s, 90s, it's very hard to maintain any muscle mass. What happens is when people get old like that and they get frail, they're weak, they have a fall, they break their femur, they become bedridden, they get pneumonia, and they die. The more muscle mass you have now, the better off you'll be now and in the future. It's like saving for retirement. It's never too late, but it's important to build muscle now. It's the same thing with bone density, and I can talk about that in another video if you want. I'm not this muscle-laden, jacked guy myself, but I'm better than I was yesterday, and that's what's important with this stuff. Don't get down, don't think that you're too far gone, because you're not. As long as you are better than what you were last week, that's a win.
Because I don't want to have to go on medication. I think that the first thing, people that go on medication die, in my opinion. Like, I think that, like, there's all these times, like, I know people that are, like, younger than me, and they have 5 different medications. That's terrifying. Absolutely fucking terrifying. And so I want to do whatever I can to, like, be able to, like, overcome it physically myself.
So there is wisdom with this, and I'll explain how with an example. Someone who I know very closely got their labs taken, found out that they had high cholesterol, went to go see a doctor. The doctor said, hey, here's a statin, which is a medication which lowers your cholesterol. So this person started taking the statin, but a common side effect of statins are myalgia, so muscle pain. And this person would experience the muscle pain, especially when they would exercise. So they stopped exercising. Well, next time came around to take their labs, their cholesterol actually went up, despite being on the statin. So the doctor said, okay, here's a higher dose statin. Well, now the myalgias got worse. So I talked to them about it. They called me up and were like, hey, what do you think about this? I got their past medical history. I found out that their diet and exercise prior to starting the statin hadn't been fantastic. I said, hey, you can keep taking the statin. I'm not telling you to contradict what the doctor told you. Here's what I would do though. I would stop the statin. I would exercise, pretty rigorously, and I gave them, about an hour a day, lifting weights included, and then stop eating sugar. and then stop the statin. So this person did that, went back, got the labs taken, and sure enough, the cholesterol went down, and the doctor didn't even talk to him about statins anymore. If they had stayed on statins, it would have been a downward cycle of, oh no, now my cholesterol is worse. Now I need to take more statin. Now I need to do this. And it would have caused other problems from not exercising. Who knows, maybe eventually diabetes, issues like that. The thing is though, if you start taking medications, sometimes it is hard to get off those medications. Obviously, that's not the case for everything. What I'm saying though is if there's a problem that can be solved with lifestyle change should always be number one. The first step should never be to medicate. Always the lifestyle change. Diet, exercise, sleeping. Now, there are a lot of instances where diet, exercise, sleeping won't fix that kind of stuff, but we as a society really lean on, oh, I can just take this pill and it makes me better. Really, the best medicine is prevention.
But I also have an issue with like my chest, where like my chest is like massively caved in.
So he's got what's called pectus excavatum. It's where the connection between your ribs and your sternum is kind of pushed in more than normal.
And because it's like massively caved in, there's an issue where it can affect your heart wall. And so I might have to have surgery for that. I don't know if that's something that I'm going to have to do like now. But, you know, at a certain point probably in my life, I will have to do that. Holy shit. Yeah, no, they literally like fucking move your arm. Yeah, pectus excavatum or excavatum or something like that. Yeah, that's it.
Depending on how intense it is, you may or may not need surgery. I had to look up if there were any specific directions on if you need to have like limited activity, limited exercise, and I couldn't find anything about that. Obviously, if your doctor or physical therapist tells you and you have pectus excavatum that, hey, you need to limit your exercise, then do it. But otherwise, I couldn't find anything, so go for it. I mean, I need to stress again how important it is to lift weights. If you have to choose between doing cardio and lifting weights, lift weights. I do both. I do 30 minutes of cardio and then I do 30 minutes of lifting weights 5-6 days a week. But I mean, start small and you can build up from there. But you gotta lift weights. Muscle mass is directly tied to longevity. I wanna be gaming when I'm 80, not bedridden.
Obviously, chatters can be annoying. Of course. But that's not the real reason, okay, guys? It's really not. I wish it was the reason because it would make it so fucking easy to solve. I would just stream less. So yeah. So good to hear that. Yeah, no, I'm okay. I think it's sugar in a soda. Yeah, I really don't want to have to stop drinking soda. I really love soda. You can get type 2 and be skinny. Oh, diabetes? No, that's not really the issue at all. What was that? Lindsay can't breathe? No, I can breathe fine. It's not an issue.
You can see his chat is really well intentioned. I mean, it's kind of endearing, right? I know some physicians freak out when family or friends are telling their patients to do certain things. Whatever. I think people are smart enough to realize, hey, if I have a serious problem and I talk to my doctor about it, I'm going to follow what my doctor says. But it still is like family and friends are a good source of support. And hey, I'm not encouraging, these deep parasocial relationships. But you know what? We have parasocial relationships with all kinds of entertainers. I would be sad if I found out Tom Cruise was dead. So I think it's okay to be a little bit concerned for an entertainer who you enjoy watching.
If I'm not feeling good, it makes me very insecure. To be honest, it makes me extremely insecure. And so, yeah, because it's like for me growing up, like it was always an advantage that I had, that I would never get sick, I would never get tired, I wouldn't get like stressed out, or like I would get stressed out, but like it wouldn't be the same way as other people would, and I could always like outwork or like outperform somebody, and like feeling like I'm losing that is very upsetting. And so, yeah, I just need to dial things back a little bit.
I really feel for the guy. Health issues can be really scary. I hope this helps someone in a similar situation out there. I talked about things pretty generally in this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, like, subscribe, whatever. In the future, I can go more in depth on stuff like how to get better sleep, more specifics on diet and exercise, or even male pattern baldness if you're interested. Healthy is the new meta. Thanks for watching.